Hello and welcome back to Shell Center. This is Bryce. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. If this is something you end up enjoying, you never know it could happen. Well, this is my monthly update, and if you've been following the channel, it's been a rough month this last month, but not for reading, luckily. So my monthly update, and then also my TBR for the month of February, which we are currently in. I am going to attempt to do this one-shotting it at least as much as possible. So let's jump into how the month's been. January 2025, how'd the new year start off? First things first, I've been stating this. I gave a community note, and then also my last video. It's been a rough month. I've only gotten out about, I think it was 3 or 4 videos for the whole month. Usually I try to, at minimum, do 2 videos a week, if not 3, but it was a rough one. I had court, and not always does everything go to court, so often you get things scheduled, especially seems like lately you'll get things scheduled, and if it hasn't already been continued once, you're probably not going to court. Well, this time pretty much everything went to court, like everything, and it was exhausting, and I had no mental ability to do anything. I really had no time to do anything other than my job, which I guess you got to do sometimes, and run kids around to things. That was it. That was all I was doing for the month of January. But luckily, because I was running around kids, I did have a lot of audiobook time. So we'll get into what I read. First things first, this came up. I reserve random books in my library, and then all of a sudden they come up, and I'm like, my whole TBR. But I don't always remember to mention them here is the problem. But first things first, I did finish. I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom by Jason Pargin. This is the author. He also goes by David Wong, or used to, and now it's Jason Pargin, totally, completely. But that's John Dies at the End is that series of books, which also was a movie with, I think, Paul Giamatti. Anyway. It's weird. This author has a weird, crazy sense of humor. You kind of either jive with it or you don't, I would imagine. But I've gotten into, I randomly just started following his kind of reels. He just does these like kind of informative, random fact kind of reels, and he has got a total like encyclopedic brain of random interesting facts. He did write for Cracked for a while, for a time, and so it definitely shows. But I just felt like I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom. First of all, the title is just amazing. I love it. And it was great. It was really, really a good, fun romp. I had so much fun with it. I was pretty much glued to it the whole time. Literally from the beginning, where you automatically get introduced to the big Black Box of Doom. Well, the big black box, I should say. And you don't even know anything about it, but it's intriguing and it's great. And I feel like one of the main characters is definitely a stand-in for the author, just because this character was filled with tons of not only like random facts, but like, because this is what Pargin does too, which I think is great and wonderful, and what literally draws me to his channel is just thinking, and he likes to just ponder about some things out loud, and I really like that, and so it's really fun additional character here. He clearly knows his way around the internet, and so it's pretty fun with that regard too, and just this crazy escapade, cross-country escapade. It's a fun one, so definitely recommended. And actually, I have to say, I read 5 books to start the year, which I was not expecting, having such a busy month. 5 books plus got into another one, so we'll get to there. But anyway, as always, this has been my monthly tradition for some time now, since I got into Dungeon Crawler Carl not that long ago. This is obviously book 1, but I did read book 4, The Gate of the Feral Gods, which was just... You think you've like seen like, okay, this is crazy and it's nuts, it can't get crazier than this, and like it's just even crazier. It's somehow this new level is just anyway, I don't want to spoil, and that's what I'm worried about here, but it's nuts. It's so cool, but it's just, I love how Dinniman can kind of play with the world, play with the characters, play with the attributes and the just abilities and again depending on where they're at. And so anyway, it makes it a lot of fun. He obviously clearly knows his world, but knows, I feel like, a campaign. He knows his D&D or whatever kind of version of that he played or does play, because it's just filled with this, like, he clearly knows about the classes of characters and just what he's doing with them and how much he can play with them and how much they can add to the world and change things, which I just think is a blast. So then I got into the series. I just happened to find a bunch at a pretty good price, and so then I kept going. So I've only read one though, but I really liked it. The Last Man, Why the Last Man Unmanned, book 1, or I guess set of book 1. There's a bunch of, I think while it was going, was I don't know. It was serialized like usual, I assume, and then collected into these volumes. So anyway, there's a bunch of volumes, I think like 10 or so, maybe more. But anyway, or maybe less, I don't know. But this was really good. It was interesting concept. Something happens to all the men except the last man. And so we see that. I like this Stephen King's quote on here: "The best graphic novel I've ever read," which could also be the worst if he's only read one. We don't know that. But I always find those quotes funny. But it's really good. It's really, really interesting and a good concept. I struggle. This is like the struggle I had with Spider-Man No Way Home. And this kind of does this, is just this, when some of the plot points revolve around somebody not willing to, like, essentially fight or something. I'm like, in this post-apocalyptic type world, then you're just dead, I guess. And that's where you have to accept. But to stop others from fighting and to be, I don't know, I feel like good on you for having your morals and sticking by them. That's great. But I'm like, how are you a survivor of this place that a lot of the laws have gone downhill, to say the least, without, like, and not get killed off within the first week or two, being a good person, and still have these, I guess, stick by something again when someone's literally trying to kill you, and you're like, I don't harm other people, but I'm like, but they're trying to kill you. Like, I just feel like at some point you can defend yourself, right? I don't know. That's just been me. I got really frustrated with Spider-Man No Way Home for the same issue, where they're just like, oh, well, we can't, like, harm these people. Like, they're all about to go kill a bunch of people. Like, each one of these villains, you can't do anything. You can't, like, in stopping, it's the whole, like, do you go back in time and kill Hitler? And like, but he'd be a baby or something, which is the easiest time to do it, I guess. But also, can you do that to a baby? So I get it, but I always get frustrated. They just seem a little nonsensical, where you're like, okay, but either they're trying to kill you or they're trying to kill a group of people. Isn't the logic there? Even your morality can be bent a little bit. That's why, I don't know, Adolin is really getting me, and I should stop talking about this right now. But I don't know, I'm going off on something, I know, and correct me if I'm wrong. And again, good for people sticking by their morals, but I'm just like, how are you then still even alive? If, like, the good people die off first. We all know that in the apocalypse. You can stick by your morals and good on you, but you're not going to survive long. How are they still around then? That's all I'm saying, okay? Then I read Age of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. This is book 2 in the Legends of the First Empire. I'm really enjoying the series. It's really cool, really interesting. It's kind of funny, though, to a degree, because it is like, there's like Rhaenyra Revelations, and then this is like the First Empire, right? So it's like way, way, way before that time. Or should I go this way? Way before the Rhaenyra Revelations. You've got the Legends. This is the First Empire, the first, where they, like, the men consider the elves gods, essentially. And it's just kind of funny where they're like, I know what we should do. Write things down. It's just kind of this first, I get that it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's just kind of been funny to me. I don't know. I'm like, I get what we're going for. We're trying to be like, hey, look, this is where first written languages were done and that stuff. But it's just kind of funny to me. I don't even know why I'm commenting on it, but it is cracking me up left and right. Where, again, I guess the society has to start somewhere, and that's as far back as we went in this. So it's giving good context to the world. But it's just humorous to me from time to time here. All right, then I rounded out the month. I was planning on getting this done earlier. The problem with book reading in my life right now is that I only have so much of it, and I actually made time though, and this has been great. So Lightfall by Ed Crocker, definitely loved this book. I need to do a dedicated review. This is vampires and werewolves and sorcerers with just a different take that I've never seen before, and I absolutely enjoyed. I really loved it. Thought it was a cool take. Essentially, and this isn't spoiler, I don't think too much at least, but vampires is the main focus, I'll be honest. But they essentially can be immortal, right? But it depends on what blood they're using, right? So if you can survive off of like cow blood, but you're gonna live not that long, right? It's only gonna sustain you so long, and those are called the Warrens. Those are the poor vampires essentially. You've got the better blood that you can ingest and take, and the longer you're gonna last, the longer you're gonna live, and so you've got the kind of mid-tier bloods, and they're the midways is what they're called, and then you've got the lords and the higher ups who are on things like wolf blood, and so they can even literally fly. So it's pretty cool, but also live forever on that kind of blood. So it depends on what blood. I love this. You are what you drink. But there's a mystery. So there's a mystery going on. There's this cool world that you're exploring, and then you learn about the werewolves. And you get perspectives from different characters, but they're all in first person. I will say that's one thing. I would love to see this in more of a third person maybe, or in some kind of omniscient, to just explore the world, because I'm totally down. I'm totally into this world. But anyway, it's just been so cool to start exploring. This is the Everlands book 1, so it's very cool that there will be more, at least I hope so. Absolutely a cool, fascinating world with a great mystery to kind of back everything up. And keep you interested, but also just like a struggle, because it's set up this whole idea of this class struggle. So it's really well done. All right, so those are the 5 books that I got in that I was able to read for the month of January. Not a bad start. I actually reduced, because I was a little worried going into this year, I reduced my goal amount on Goodreads for the year to just 50 instead of 52 like last year. I know I didn't go crazy, but I just didn't want myself, I want to be able to enjoy the books I'm reading, and I kind of felt like I kind of blazed through at the very end of the year a couple of books, and I didn't want to do that again. So I want to enjoy some, especially because I've got some big ones to jump into here. So let's go to February. So this is my TBR for February. First things first, I am halfway through Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. This is such a behemoth, but to get already halfway through, like I said, means, technically, like, you could count it as like 7 books I read in January. That's how big this thing is. To be 500 pages in and you're like, I'm not even halfway. Like, that's crazy. So I've heard a couple of people struggling with the first half, and I have to say I'm getting that a little bit, but I have to say too, maybe I watched too many reviews or listened to too many people, and it hasn't been quite as bad as I thought it would be, although I definitely feel it. I already mentioned when I kind of was talking about Rhythm of War, I feel like a couple hundred even pages could have been shaved off in that book. And I'm kind of getting that feel here still too. It's a little rough at first going, just because there's not a whole lot happening at first, but it's a cool world. It still remains a cool world. I haven't gotten tired of it. This is one of my favorite covers of the series, I have to say. It just really pops. I love that. So, but and I'm not tired of it. That's what I was a little worried about. And I didn't want to do Rhythm of War, then Wind and Truth back to back. I wanted to give it a little bit. So I did give it almost a month. between Rhythm of War and this, and that was enough time. That was good. I still remember everything. It's hard to forget when you spend that much time in this world, but it's again, I'm feeling it, but it's still good, and it's not the end of the world for me. I know I think because maybe my expectations were brought pretty low, especially with Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews review, and I trust him inherently, so that's one of them. All right, then, as I did last year, I'm doing a read along though this time, and so it's the Fellowship of the Ring. I need to get started already. People are already finished with it in my read along group, and so I need to get on it. I love this book. I've read it at least 3 times now, and so this will probably be the 4th, if not 5th. I gotta go figure that out. Not that it matters, but I am very excited to get back into the Lord of the Rings. It's becoming apparently a yearly thing, and I'm not gonna say no to it when people suggest it. It's so wonderful. It's just so magical. You just feel you're transported away, and it's just lovely. All right, then I want to keep my streak alive. I want to keep going with my dungeon crawler, Carl. So I'm gonna be doing, I assume, let's be honest, I won't be able to stop myself from reading The Butcher's Masquerade, Book 5, Matt Dinniman. They're just, I kind of can't keep away, but not before, because I promised to read this. It's just some read-along stuff, and then Wind and Truth. I didn't want to get too far away from Rhythm of War, but this is one I promised to read, and I'm going to stop adding this to my TBR because I'm going to finally have read it. The Fragment of Water by Ben Hale. I'm so sorry it's taken me so long. 2 Library on Legs, Cinna, and we'll get there. I really want to read it. I'm very excited for it. I already kind of just dabbled in it a little bit, and it's cool because sometimes you just need some light fantasy, and sometimes you need just some heavy fantasy, and right off the bat there's just like magic just kind of gets thrown at you, so I'm excited for that. I'm going to stick with that for now. I might throw in another Y the Last Man, something like that. We'll see what else I can throw into. Whatever kind of fits my fancy for that time. I have so many on my list that I want to read like yesterday. So that's the problem, and the greatest problem really that you can have as a bookworm, because I guess I'm not going to run out. So anyway, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'm going to try to get back on track here. We'll see with my crazy schedule. We'll catch you next time. Bye.